Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Learning with Chronno. Today, in memory of, or in honor of, depending on how you look at it, the switchover for the Shenaniderp from the Mindcrack mod pack to FTB Ultimate, I'm going to show you guys how to run your own Minecraft server. Specifically FTB, that's how I'm going to walk you through it. First off, what you need to do is go out and get a server shell. You can do this on its own, but if you use a program like MCMyAdmin here, it's way easier. Now, the address is www.mcmyadmin.com. You just go to download, and you can get the Windows installer, which is the installer I'm going to show you, as I have no idea how to install it for Linux. That will give you this file right here, the MCMyAdmin or MCMA2 installer. As with any Windows installer, you double click it and hit run. And we'll go through the basic installation steps, mostly next, finish kind of thing. But the MCMyAdmin 2 installation, thanks for downloading, blah, blah, blah. The license agreement, make sure to read the entire thing. You might have to get your lawyers involved with that one. I have no idea. Then we got the standard system check. This supports 64-bit operating system. Need decent amount of RAM, decent amount of hard drive space. You definitely need Java. I would definitely recommend the latest and greatest version of Java. Network access. Now, this is giving me a warning because I'm behind a firewall. My computer is not directly connected to the internet. That's perfectly fine. It just means I need to forward ports later on. And we got a web browser, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome. All three of them seem to work for me. Now, we got to pick an installation path. And this is important. Something to think about. The default is under app data local on the C drive. Now, that's a problem. If you're running a server for like yourself or you and a friend, okay, that's not going to hurt anything. But if you're running a big server that a lot of people are going to be using, there are a couple things you need to keep in mind. RAM and processor are important. You got to have enough of them to run a server. But something that seems to get overlooked a lot by Minecraft server admins, hard drive access speed. There are hundreds of files in a Minecraft world. Hundreds. And each one of those files can get written to at pretty much any time. I don't know all the details, but this seems to be where everything is going. Now, if you're a hard drive and you have to read a file that's over here and read a file that's over here, the head of the hard drive has to go back and forth as it's reading. And that's a standard platter hard drive, as most people have. Solid-state drives are different. They run significantly better. But if you have a platter hard drive, don't install it on a drive that's going to be active or constantly being used by something else, like the operating system. I recommend that if you can, you dedicate its own hard drive. Me personally, I have a nice E drive that I use. My D drive is used for fraps. E, that's just storage. So it doesn't get used all that often, so this is a perfect drive for me to throw things in. And then we'll make a new folder. As you can see, I already have an MCMyAdmin folder, but that's for something else. MCMyAdmin. And we'll call this Shenaniderp because this is going to be the new Shenaniderp server. Got to make a distinction between Shenaniderp Vanilla and Shenaniderp FTB. So we want the Shenaniderp FTB folder. And it downloads the files and it installs the files. This way you have the latest and greatest version of MCMyAdmin installed right then and there. Now, this is where you put in very important information. Passwords. Now, I highly recommend you have a decent password. Mine is, it's okay. It's mixed case alphanumeric with symbols? Yeah, symbols. It's a good password. And if you have a license key, you can put it in here. Now, I'm not going to, because I don't want you guys to be using my license key, but that's okay, because you can put in the license key later on. Cough. Now, web server port, remember this port, and you can also change this port. This does not run off of IIS or Apache or whatever you already have installed. It runs off its own service, or runs off its own web server. I was reading the install as service, which I can't wait till they actually implement because I want this. Anyways, if you know port 8080 is taken, you can switch to something else. Like in my case, I have to switch it to 8081 because 8080 is taken by vanilla. IP binding is something that's really advanced that you don't really have to worry about. Well, unless you're a major admin, but at that point, I don't think you're watching my video. And that should be it. And then this is the main MCMyAdmin interface. This is the command prompt, and this will show you all of the little details. And I have JavaScript disabled, but we just need to allow localhost and the MCMyAdmin.com for the back end. Yay! And then this is where we put in our username and password, which you just set up. The username by default is admin, and then the password is whatever you put in. Now, it'll go through a few things, since this is the first time you've ever installed MCMyAdmin. Blah, 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 blah. You can read that on your own. Now, what we're going to have to do this a little different. We are not running, which is perfect. So, game mode, we want survival. Game difficulty, I'm setting it to hard, just like we always do. Hardcore mode, hell no. Enable monsters, yes. Enable animals, yes. NPCs, yes. PvP, yes. Nether, yes. Allow flight. Now, this is a good one. If you're running an FTB server, allow flight. Seriously. I've been kicked out of the server so many times because flight was disabled. Just allow flight. It's supposed to be there to prevent fly hacks, but in FTB you have things like jetpacks, so you're flying anyway. So allow flight, yes. And allow command blocks, well, that's really only for admins, and that's not something we're going to play with. So let's go with no. We go over to server settings. World seed. Now, this is where you would put in a predetermined world seed if you have one. And you, as far as I can tell, you can pretty much put in whatever you want. Let's throw some luck in there. 2.0. The name of our server. I will leave that alone. Server MOTD. This is basically the name of your server, what your server is actually going to be called, which is exactly the same as this. So we're going to leave that as that. Now, server type, we need to set this to Feed the Beast, because this is a Feed the Beast server. But, as you can tell, we have the official release, Craft Bucket, Spigot, which I'm gonna guess is the server version of Spout, maybe? I don't know. I've never played with it. The mod pack that shall not be named. Forge, which is the basic underlying structure of Feed the Beast, is Forge. So if you're putting in your own mods and stuff like that, you use Forge, but we're going to go with Feed the Beast because we're using Feed the Beast. Server stream release is not affected by us, because that is for the official. So if you have like a server that you're running that has the snapshots, There you go. Maximum number of players. The maximum unlicensed is 8. So I'm just going to leave it as 8 for now. And I'm not going to worry about it. But you can change it to a maximum of 1,024 if you have a license. So generate structures, that's like buildings, temples, dungeons, strongholds, that's the word I was looking for. That's that kind of stuff. So yes, we definitely want to generate structures. World type standard, we can choose between standard, flat, and large biomes. I'd be tempted to use large biomes, but that can cause problems. Well, last I heard, that can cause some serious lag issues. View distance. Okay, view distance is how many chunks away from a player the server will upload to the player. I set that to 10 because I have a pretty decent internet connection, but it can go the whole way up to 15 chunks away, or the whole way down to 3. If you have a slow internet connection, go with trial and error, because the farther out you can see, the better for your users. But if you don't have the internet connection, obviously that's going to cause lag issues, and it's going to cause problems for your users. So it can be trial and error to get used to. I go with 10, the default. I probably could go higher, but we have a few users in Australia, and their internet isn't all that great. Allow snooping. Now, this is the information that you can give to Mojang. It's anonymized information. And personally, I don't care. Fault recovery. Restart on severe errors. Now, using the the Mindcrack mod pack, I don't think I ever got any severe errors. Using FTP beta, I did. So I'm going to leave that as a yes. Yeah, if you leave it as no, if you get a severe error, the server will go down. But you will also see the error message in the log, because that's where everything stops. But if you set it to yes, well, the server will restart itself, and you won't see the log. You'd have to actually dig into the files itself. So I'll leave that up to you guys. Features, server name. Oh, hey, that's where the server name is. It's kind of in both places. The server MOTD, the headline to show in the in-game server list. So when you click on multiplayer, that's what it shows. Basically, you put another FTP server or whatever. Blah, 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 blah. This is the server name. Little mistake there. The welcome message. This is when you log in, you will see this message. Hey there, user, welcome to server name. If you look on the MCMyAdmin website, you can see what special characters will show up. Like this special character is for return, this one is for the player name, this one's for the server name, so on and so forth. Whitelist mode. Okay, so we have a couple choices. We have no whitelisting, which anybody who has the IP address can log in. Match any group, which will match the users and groups set up here, which I will set up later on. Woo! Lockdown means nobody can get in. And then single group is basically one of the groups set up. So if you set it to single group down here in the whitelist group, that's where you can set up what group. I'm going to set to match any group because that's how we do it. Enable server sleeping? No, because I want the performance there. Enable status, image, and widget. Okay. This is actually a pretty cool feature. The status image is an image like this that you can put on your website to show if your server is online or offline. I don't use it because if MCMyAdmin itself goes down, that picture doesn't change. It still says online. The MCMyAdmin itself has to be running, but the world has to be shut down for it to actually update properly. So I just tell it no. Show as public on server list. Now, there is, on the MCMyAdmin website, there is a public server list that you can go to and you can look through and you can connect to whenever you want. We are whitelist, so I say no. Permissions exporting mode. Now, if you have a third-party permissions piece of software like Essentials, Essentials groups? Oh, I forget what it's called. It's been a long time since I played with a Craft Bucket server. But if you have a third-party permissions thing set up, oh, hey, there we go. Bucket, Group Manager, that's Essentials. Essentials Group Manager. Yeah, if you have a third party, you can select it here, and it will take care of it. But I don't export my permissions, so it's not a problem. MChat message format, that's for an add-on that we don't have to worry about. Oh no, that's in-game messages, which again, I'm not going to worry about. The whitelist message, that is if you try to connect to a server but you're not on the whitelist, this is the message you will get. So standard greeting message, I say no, because that's this thing up here. I say no. I don't like the greeting messages. Show access denied error. This is whether or not to give users an access denied message if they try to use MCMyAdmin command they don't have access to. I'm just going to leave that as a no. Display warning during world save. I'm also going to set this to no, though I think a couple of these settings are licensed only. So I think if I set that to no, I think it's still going to show up as the message is still going to show up, even though I told it no, because I don't have it licensed. Announce group changes. That is to announce to everybody on the server when users are added or removed from a group. No, because I don't care. Plugins. This is where you can manage your Bucket plugins. Of course, I'm not going to play with that. That's freaking awesome. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've played with Bucket server, so this is new, as far as I know of. Install plugins. Preferences. This is just the look of your user interface when you log into the MCMyAdmin website. Login users. This is how you set up external users. Like I have Adult. Adult is the admin of our server. I just run it. I'm the host. He's the admin. You cannot log in as admin remotely. So I set him up as his own little user here and run it, let him log in remotely through the port forward that I set up previously. About. This is where we get our updates. Like we could see, it shows the MCMyAdmin server version that we can update to, and this is the one we have. And we can add our license here when we want to. Down here shows the Minecraft server, and you can update all the stuff down here. But the latest official release, the latest Craft Bucket release, and we don't have one running because we haven't even done that yet. Backups. All important, okay? Make sure you have backups. I cannot emphasize this enough. Make sure you have backups. This is where you can manage your backups, restore your backups, and create new backups. Now, if you need to restore a backup, you want to delete the world first because it can kind of screw with you. Scheduling. Now, this is a great one. This is going to go bye-byes. Check for MCMyAdmin updates and install if available. That is not going to happen. I do not allow automatic updates on my servers. I just don't. Restart the server and rotate log file. These are defaults. Every 15 minutes, save world state. Want to do that because that will take the server or the stuff that's in memory and make sure it sits on the hard drive. And then this will give a countdown warning to restart the server. Want that by default. Now we can add a new event, like every X hours. I want 3 hours. Where is it? Come on. Back up the current world. That way, every 3 hours, we have a backup of the current world. Actually, you know what? On second thought, I want every 6 hours. No. It was set every 3 hours before. We crash a lot, so I like having a lot of backups. And that's literally that simple. Now, users and groups. Now, from here, we can manage who can log in and stuff like that. Because we have set the whitelist to match any group, right now we literally have no users in any group. Now you saw the asterisks here. Leave that there. That's not going to allow everybody to log in, but it will solve a lot of problems in the future. Now I'm going to set up adult as the administrator, which I always do, and then I'm just going to set up me as a regular. And then that way me and adult can log in. Yes, I'll add the others later. Now here you can set up the security nodes if you want to. Administrators by default have access to everything. That's what the asterisk there is for. Regulars have access to these 4 plus these there. The groups inherit from the group below them. By default, everyone, then regulars, then moderators, then administrators. The console is where you can see all of the messages that pop up, like the messages that show up in here, but they show up here. And you can also type in commands, like if you want to OP somebody, you can do it from here. You can't, however, do it from here. Only select MCMyAdmin commands can be done through here, like stop, start, quit, that kind of thing. And then status just gives you the general status of the server. So, we have all this. Does that mean that we can start the server now? No, we can't, because there are quite a few things we have to change. For example, see how the RAM says 1024 there? That's enough to run for like maybe 1 or 2 users, but not for like the 8 or 10 that we have. So, what I have to do is close out of that, quit out of this. Now, when you quit out of MCMyAdmin, make sure you actually quit out. Don't just close it. And the command is /quit, and it will close itself. You don't want to just close it because that can corrupt your world. Now, we go into where we created all this, and I want my MCMyAdmin.config. Now you can edit this with Notepad, but I have Notepad++ just because it's easy. And we can see a bunch of different settings here. Security, off mess, blah, 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 blah. Lots of stuff that we don't really need to know because we can change it in the, MCMyAdmin GUI. However, we cannot change the memory in the MCMyAdmin GUI. We have to change it here. Now, you got to keep in mind how much RAM you have. For example, I have 16 gig. 16 gig of RAM. So I have enough to set this up, what I need. What I do, that gives me 10 gig of RAM for the MCMyAdmin. I don't need that much. I think at most we use 4 gig. But I give it 10 gig just so it has decent amount of buffer. So let's save this, close on out, and now what we need the server itself. So how do we get the server? Well, what you do is you go into your FTP launcher, you select the mod pack you want. Like right now we have the Minecraft mod pack. Well, we switch into the Ultimate. So we hit download server, we save the file. Let's save it somewhere we can find. The desktop sounds good to me. And we wait a couple of minutes while it downloads, or a couple of seconds depending on your internet connection. There we go. Close on out of that. And now we have the Ultimate server, so we can close out of the FTP launcher. So we open up the ultimate server.zip with whatever zip program you want to use. And all you have to do is literally just copy and paste it here. Or, yeah, copy it there. Now, are we done yet? Are we ready to go? No, we're still not ready to go. What we have to do is start the server, because we don't have all of our settings set. Like to set up, we don't have the port number or anything like that. So we go into our MCMyAdmin, which we're going to have to open it again. And the only reason we had to close it was because we had to change the config file. So we start up our MCMyAdmin again. This will probably error out, which is perfectly fine. We need it to error out for a second. Yeah, see, we got a whole bunch of error messages. Server was not yet ready, automatically restarting. So we got a bunch of error messages because it's looking for the FTP beta-a.jar. Now, if we noticed, we don't have an FTP beta-a.jar, we have FTP server. As far as I can tell, there's no way to change that. If it goes for if it's wanting the FTP beta-a.jar file, we've got to give it to it, which is relatively easy. We just rename it to ftp-beta-a.jar. And it's that simple. And that's the only thing we needed to do before we start the server. Now, you could do it by starting it through the website, but we can just start it here, and it's just that simple. Now, once it's finished starting like it needs to, which it will set up, it'll generate the world, it will do everything it needs to do, and then we're going to have to shut it down again. And this is picking up all of the settings that it needs to pick up, so it shouldn't be a problem. Alright, no, it's done. So we need to stop the server. And once it's stopped, which it has, we can go into the server.properties, and we can start editing the files that we see, or the settings that we need to set. Okay, so we have most of the default settings. However, there is two that we need to change. Server port, I need to change that, which I'm not going to because I'm not going to show you all that detail. 25565 is the default server port. I changed that so I have less to worry about. And then the next thing we have to change is max players. Now, we set that in MCMyAdmin, but that doesn't fall over to the server.properties. So if you license your server and you set it to, say, 20 users can log in, you have to go into here and set that as well. Which, again, I'm not going to do right now because I haven't licensed it yet. And as for everything else, you don't really have to worry about, because most of that stuff is set in the MCMyAdmin GUI. So, now that we have set those settings, which we haven't, but you get the point, we can start back up our server again. And FTB does take a moment to start. Vanilla is way faster, but FTB has a lot of mods to load. And that's perfectly fine. I mean, you're running a server. You don't have to be insanely fast starting. You just have to be insanely fast running it, and insanely stable. So I'd rather be stable than fast. So we go back into our FTB launcher. We select the proper mod pack, and we launch. So here we are in our brand new install of the FTB Ultimate mod pack, and we're ready to connect to our brand new FTB Ultimate server. So we just add our server just like we normally would. We give it a server name, and we give it its address. In this case, localhost works fine. And then we connect, and we get to see Shenaniderp for the first time, for the third time. Whatever. And let's see what we got. We got a lot of stuff. We want... How do I make that go? Z to hide this message. Thank you. Everything's all set up, and I'm going to have to rechange everything. So here we are in a forest, and I see nothing. And I probably should have put a waypoint at spawn. But welcome to the new Shenaniderp, and I am so used to having the boots of the traveler. I feel so slow and I can't jump. But I will see you guys in the, first episode, I guess, technically. Hey, there's a desert over there. And I will say, as always, keep playing the game and have fun. Fare thee well.